Ha! Hey warriors, yo mama's so fat, when she gets up on both sides of the bed. Just kidding. Yo, this is my Fury Prot tank guide. Took like 30 hours to make. Hope it's helpful. Please give me a thumbs up and share this around. So just to prove that I know a little bit what I'm talking about here are my logs. I've had the privilege and joy of tanking in quite a few very good Naxxes, sub 60, sub 50 minute Naxxes, tanking and DPSing in those runs and playing a bunch of different classes and characters. I've done more than 300 Naxxes across all my characters. So check out this table, it has some really interesting information on it. We'll go over it quickly, although you can always just pause the video and read this in more depth. What we have here is all of the bosses in Naxxramas, and then we have what their attack speed is, their average melee damage, and then of course you just do a little bit of mathematics and you get their damage taken per second that they, you as a tank might take. So most bosses attack every 2.5 seconds, and outliers are Anub at 1.7, Mograine at a 1.5 second attack speed, Razuvious attacks very slow. What's important to note is the average melee, however. We can see here that Thane is one of the weakest hitting dudes. In fact, he is the weakest, or one of the weakest hitters. His average melee, 3100. Mograine has a lower melee, but he attacks faster, and therefore, on average, his damage that he does per second is higher. And of course, he also has this fire proc. We'll go in that later. But basically, a mob like Faerlina, hits way harder than Thane. Feugen and Stalagg, they are some of the hardest hitting bosses in the game here. They're not even a boss; they're like a mini boss. But anyways, yeah, just useful information. Noth, Heigan, these guys can parry haste you. Maexxna, it's not uncommon for a tank to walk in and just disappear, parry hasted into the ground. We've of course covered what parry hasting is in other videos, so just wanted to share this with you. Okay, so right now we are standing in the safe spot. Then now we're moving into the ready spot under the lantern. You saw those skitters patrolling, right? And if we are standing here in this ready spot, we need to be ready for the main tank going to run in, do a lip shout. So I'm running in. There's 2 packs of skitters. I lip, I shout, we sapper, we blow it up. Notice to the right, like there's that pack of mobs there. So you got to hug that corner or else you'll pull another pack. So now what we're going to do is walk in. Everyone stacks in except for like your hunters and maybe a paladin or a shaman or something like that. Like most people stacked in because that guy's going to charge the farthest people and poison them with a nasty poison, a really nasty poison. Then we want to make sure everything here is getting faced towards the tank, because it does like a cleave, like a spit. So you got to make sure that these mobs are faced correctly. Just to review what these mobs are, you have a stalker, and the stalker does that poison charge. You have creepers, which do a healing reduction curse, and they'll yank people in. And then you have spinners, which do the poison spit. So we're going to run in. We taunt everything. We face it away. And we're going to get the poison charge here. There, you see 3 or 4 people get poisoned. That's okay. If everyone's stacked in and that spider charges you, you need to EPR or everyone will die. These spider packs are lethal. Now we're doing Anub, and if you do a lot of damage, you can avoid his mechanic, which requires the main tank to kite him. But in this fight, we are not unbooned because we're saving our boon buffs for later, and so the main tank does not want a stone shield. So anyways, the adds, they do a cleave. So the tanks are just going to stack them all facing, you know, kind of like the main tank. The adds can be kind of fanned out, so maybe there's less cleave going on, but you don't want them to be facing the melee. So the tank runs in, I run in as the tank, and we all grab the stuff, and we basically are, you know, sometimes they put a web on the people, so tanks want to get positioned quickly, or else you're going to get webbed. Anyways, so I'm webbed, but everything's stacked up properly, and the raid is fanned out, because you saw that impale knock them into the air. This fight can have a chain reaction where one person dies, it causes some spiders to spawn. And then if those spiders kill people, then more spiders will spawn. So it's very important that people don't die on this fight, or else 2 people die, now you got that kills people, and you just have so many spiders. So anyways, we gotta focus the adds, because they put a stacking dot on the tanks, and it's good to pop Death Wish on the adds, maybe even Recklessness to burn those adds down. Now I'm going to slowly position the boss, pull it towards the kiting spot, because you can see the Locust Swarm is going to potentially happen soonish. That's just when it could happen. Doesn't mean it'll happen right away. Sometimes it delays. Now there are some spiders that'll spawn randomly. No one died there yet, but here you can see the boss is casting Locust Swarm. There's the ad that spawns during the kite phase. I use a swiftness potion and I'm running. A pally is giving me some heals because I kind of got knocked up in the air, and so I did take a bit of damage from the Locust Swarm, but a bunch of people died because they stood in the middle. Don't stand in the middle. The Locust Swarm has a huge range. So anyways, I'm tanking it here, and they're finishing off the ad, so make sure the off tanks, of course, pick up the ad, which does root, and once the ad is dead, you kill. And you should hopefully not have to do multiple kiting phases, or else your damage is really low and you're going to struggle a lot in Naxx. But that is how you do Inubricon. If you do a lot of damage, you can skip that kiting phase, but for progression, I'm not going to use buffs, because we've got to save the buffs. Now, what we're going to do is a double pull here of skitters. You could just do 1 and 1. You see the skitters, and the hunter, he opens the gate, and he's got to be careful where he stands. Anyways, the skitters come in, and they patrol around, so you just got to be always watching for the skitters and learn the patrol. And then the tank does a lip shout, we dynamite, we blow it up. That tank wants to make sure that they don't potion on a noob, because you want to have a potion cooldown available. Now we're going to run in here. This is a similar pack to the previous packs, except we don't have a stalker. Now we have a crypt reaver thing that has a frontal cleave. You see those people getting yanked in. Those are the creepers that are yanking them in. And you'll see people getting curses, so mages have to decurse. And tanks are doing a good job for the most part positioning things, except for one. One got faced towards the raid. Now we're going to keep on moving, and this is a lot of responsibility here for the tanks and DPS warriors to do lip shouts. So the druid does a lip shout, we blow it up. My UI doesn't properly track druid lip shouts. We're going to just walk into these stalkers, and again, you got to have people all stacked except for a couple people out, and they charged, they poisoned a few more people than should have been. Some people weren't properly stacked. Now, very important when you lip shout, and I have a lip shout guide, people, please watch it. You have to let all the mobs gather together. They're not going to do it here. Watch this. They're going to shout way too early. They shouted like 4 mobs. Then all the other skitters come in, and we have to send a second one, a backup shout. So, got to be patient. Let them all gather around you. Then you do your lip shout macro. Now, we could, if we were a well-oiled machine, just run into here, grab the stalkers, shout the skitters. You can do that. But we're going slow here because some of these people, I don't trust these people. I was helping Greek and his people, and I brought some people, Greek Wario in this Naxx, and I'm like, I don't know who these people are. I'm just going to like take it slow so we don't have any monka stuff. He does a lip shout, we do a dynamite. And then we're going to do another lip shout here. So we're going to pull them in, and we're going to, wait for them to gather up, and then the shout's going to go out. Perfect. We AoE. Pallies can bop the mages. Mages can lip if they have the lip cooldown. Now, if you were, again, a well-oiled machine, we have time here. We could pull one of the packs down below and kill that, but we're just going to wait. So we waited a while, and now we have this patrol. We want to make sure when we pull this patrol that we don't pull it when it's close to the skitters, or you'll get the skitters, which is fine, but we could just, prevent that from happening. Now we have 6 packs before the second boss, Faerlina, and a lot of these guys, they knock people around, they drop threat, they do shadow bolt volley, so you're just going to taunt and cleave, and mostly DPS kick, but the tanks could put a shield on and kick as well. So here they come in. Very important, you do not get knocked back into the other packs, DPS and tanks alike. So we're just taunting and cleaving. You see a couple people, they're getting knocked down that hill. And if they got knocked down the hill into a pack, now you have 2 packs. What if the skitters were patrolling there? That's a wipe. So let the stuff come back. I'm not going to show you the rest. We're going to go straight into this boss here. This boss basically has an enrage, and you have to mind control the ads. So it's important as the tank to be dodging the rain of fire, so you have to kite away from the rain of fire, but also you need to keep close to the priest, and the priest needs to keep close to you, because the priest will be mind controlling the ads. So if you tank the ads far away from the priest as an off tank, so it's important for the boss and the off tank ads and the priest to all be pretty close to each other. Now I'm going to show you what happens when people get separated, because the fire is random. So I mean, this fight's going perfectly, but it doesn't always go this way. We can have the priest, I don't know where the priest is, but you can see Moon is mind controlled, and the priest runs the Moon away from himself, and when the mind control mob goes away from the priest, the mind control drops. It has just such a short range, and so that priest should have been closer to the boss. Anyways, we do kill it here, but basically, yeah, there were some deaths, some mind control mess ups. Then we have more of the same. So I'm not going to show too much here, but you just grab it and face it away, face it towards the wall, because it cleaves. Then there's going to be a lip shout on the skitters, and then more of the same trash. So we're going to move along here to some ghoul packs pretty soon. And so we're walking towards Maexxna. You can see those stalkers there. Sometimes we have to fight the stalkers, but they're leaving us, so we're not going to have to deal with them. Ghouls, they enrage at 50%, and so we want to disarm them and then stun them at 50%. So you can see the paladins are stunning. A rogue could use their stun on Horde or on Alliance. If you go into the poison at any point, those poison canals, it's going to take you to low health. Not because it does a lot of damage, it does some damage, but what it does is it reduces your stats by 90% or something. And so it's almost equivalent of taking off all your gear, then putting it on and being at low health. Does that make sense? So when you tank those shades, you make sure they face away because they have a shadow bolt volley. These guys also do a shadow bolt volley, so they're very important to kill. You have to just be mindful around here. Listen to the raid leader, because there's a lot of mobs that can get pulled, right? You have the ghouls patrolling around. Here we're going around because it's a good time because we have gargoyles. The gargoyles, they kind of go up and down the hill there, and so we want to be on close to the poison, or else you'll pull the other gargoyles. These mobs, they put a stacking dot on you. So if we pulled the other gargoyles right now, it would be a wipe because we have so many stacks already. They also heal, so you have to kill them before they cast their heal. We're moving along. There's going to be more of the same. You got acolytes. You have ghouls, yada, 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 yada. And so we're just going to, do more of the same. And now we're walking into Maexxna, which is only a couple pulls after that. So there's a couple things to pay attention to with Maexxna. The entire raid is going to get stunned. But first, we have the web wrap just happened. You saw people get knocked on the wall there. So the caster DPS and a couple healers take care of that. We have skitters that are coming out shortly. So we have a tank do a shout or a lip shout. You sapper that. The boss enrages at 30%. So we're going to make sure that we do not push. We do not push. So the stun's going to happen in a couple seconds. I'm going to pop a defensive there. I do last stand. And Alliance can do a cheese where a paladin does a divine intervention on a priest, and the paladin has a soul stone. The stun goes out, the priest clicks off the DI, the paladin takes a soul stone, and we keep healing the tank. So you can do a cheese. Once people are on the wall, the DPS, you don't worry about them. You keep healing them, you pump the boss down. Horde, you just have to pop all your defensive to survive alone. Maybe you use a shield wall, and you use life giving, and you use last stand. What we can do here in Plague Wing is enter. This will reset, so we enter and pull it at the right time so we get it alone. If you get with the ghouls and all the other stuff, so be it. But we're going to fight it here and kill this guy. Now, he doesn't put any stacks, but he will heal if he gets low. He doesn't hit that hard, honestly. If you pull all the other stuff, a rogue could literally tank this mob. He doesn't hit hard. Now we're going to walk in. So you could separate them all like we kind of are. We have these 3 mobs stacked up away from the slimes. The slimes move pretty slowly. They hit really hard. They're taunt immune. I prefer it when a tank tanks them. In this raid, we assigned a tank to tank them, but they didn't tank them because they were just, frankly, a bad tank. They had a tank assignment, and they're like, "Ooh, I forgot my assignment." That's literally what happened there. But you can have a caster kite them, which casters were doing. But tanks, please pick up your frickin' mobs. We're going to keep on heading forward. You know, we have another pack. Then we're going to kill this guy here. You could, if you have world buffs out in your pumper, you could do 3 gargoyles. You see how there's 2 frozen ones there? When you get close enough, they're going to come alive. But we're just going to kill this one and then let the stacks reset. You can see I have the stacks. We're going to let the stacks reset. And then what we're going to do is go into the next pack. It's very important when you go into the next pack, you don't keep going or you'll make more spawn, right? So especially when we kill these 2, hands off the keyboard, sit and eat, defensive stance, whatever. If you keep going, you'll pull more. And it always happens. Some dumb paladin or some idiot just moves forward. They pull more gargoyles. Raid leader's freaking out because the raid has 5 stacks and it's probably a wipe. Unless you have a lot of damage. So we're just chilling. After several packs of that, we go into Noth the Plaguebringer. He hits hard. And what we're going to do here is you definitely want a stone shield. Parry hasting is always a threat on really all of these fights, but this one is dangerous. And ads come in, so the off tanks are going to grab it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Just make sure you face it away from the raid. At some point, he's going to teleport. And he's going to put, when he teleports, a melee attack speed slow on a lot of people. So the priests on Horde and Paladins on Alliance want to cleanse the tanks. And he's going to teleport away shortly. I'm not going to get it. The other tank gets it, and that's their job. Usually the main tank just pumps your threat. And then the off tank saves your Bloodthirst cooldown so that they can pick it up. You want to lip mages, bop the mages, that kind of stuff. And be careful of any sort of parry hasting during the teleport. That's people often die on that teleport. It's a threat drop, warriors. Don't kill yourself. Don't pull threat. Let the tanks get it. After this, we're going to move through a gauntlet. The grubs, they do a slow. The bats do a charge. And the plague beasts, they do like a poison AoE and stuff. So focus the grubs because they slow. And mages, they need to hopefully not go too crazy. And tanks and DPS warriors, everyone's just cleaving. Things hit hard but not too hard, so it's kind of like the AQ40 gauntlet where you're just cleaving and hopefully tanks have threat on at least the plague beast, but the other stuff it's not too important. So this is of course going to be the famous dance boss. So we'll be there shortly. I'm just showing you the rest of the gauntlet. Some of these mobs can be skipped if a rogue distracts them, but nothing wrong with getting to the safe spot or the spot before the boss. and getting a combat drop and drinking. But if mana is good, like our raid has good mana, we're just going to go straight in. So we're almost there. And I'm pretty much like, okay, here we are, going in. And I'm not sure what I'm looking at. I was taking the guy's mark off. So I'm going to go in here and Stone Shield to pop my Kiss. And then I'm gonna pop my Death Wish pretty soon here, I think. I didn't Sapphiron pull, but you definitely probably could or should Sapper. Sapper's great thing for that initial threat. And what you're going to do is the tank, if you're new to this, you look at that eruption and you pull the boss on the other side of that poison. And now, you're tanking it and you look where the spot is and you move to the next spot. Try not to turn your back. Try not to get dazed. And a common mistake is tanks bring the boss too close to the platform, which mana burns, or they go too far away. Every time they move, they keep getting further and further and further away from the platform. So you just got to make sure that you and the platform is like going a straight line, not going like on an angle. So I would just watch this fight a lot of times if you've never tanked it, because it takes practice to know where are the poison eruptions coming up, but you can see it every time it happens, and you can use that to help you. So Loatheb, it's really helpful to have a giant flask set. I've got like a 2,000 healing flask set, and on Fresh I have like a 1,100 healing flask set. So we're going to run in with super tanky gear. Threat is not important here. I will dual wield at the start, and I did Sapper there at the start. And as a tank, I like to call out the heals, but you could also assign a healer to call out the heals. Usually assign like a DPS to call the spores. As a tank, it's important to position the boss roughly where it is, because the position of the boss actually depicts where the spores are going to spawn. Sometimes you lose threat on the beginning or something, and like if you pull the boss too close to the healers, or if it's too far to the DPS, it can cause the spores to spawn in a weird way. But if you tank it where I'm tanking it, it'll pretty much always spawn the spore where it is spawning right now. So my Diamond Flask set is about to fade away. I'm going to get one more tick, and it's like doing like 2,400 healing. And only a couple people have healed me. So that's the benefit, right? Healers can only heal once per minute. And for them to not need to heal, this is good, because basically they might need to heal the DPS or something, or healing might get crazy later. Of course, you have Last Stand, Shield Wall, all that other stuff if you need. I just put the Thunderfury on because if it procs, it's going to make the boss hit slower. But yeah, that's basically the fight. And it's a DPS check. So hopefully you guys have enough DPS, and you also, your DPS are bandaging and GSPP, all that kind of stuff. You can cheese this fight with a healer with the Deep Holy Talent that turns them to a spirit for 10 seconds of healing. On this trash, we're going to Fap. These are golems. There's 3 mobs that look similar. Golems, they stun and they do a cleave. So right now we're fighting golems. Later on, we're going to fight retchers. Retchers do a frontal spew, and they knock people in the air, doing a lot of damage. So it's very important that the tanks don't tank a retcher in the raid, and the healers and the mages, they don't go near the retchers. So this is a retcher, but we're going to kill it fast before it does the knockup, but we will see knockups happen shortly. We also get these slimes. These slimes happen every now and then. They are dropped by Grobbulus, the second boss of this construct wing. These can be stunned. It's a good time to pop Death Wish on these mobs here. They do a poison AoE, so just keep them out of the raid, yo. But once they're dead, we're going to move down onto the grate. There are some patrols, but we've dealt with them, and so we're going to walk into this pack on the left. Just notice there's a 3-pack on the left, a 3-pack on the right, and a 4-pack straight ahead. And people, sometimes they back up into that pack on the right. So just be mindful of where these packs are and don't walk into them. So we killed the Retcher first. Then we have the Golems. We don't have a Fap here, so we're getting stunned. There's a patrol, so you can pull it right there as it comes out of the room. Or it's going to walk in front of the 4-pack, and you could pull it while it's in between the 2 middle mobs. There's the anyways, we're on that 4-pack now. We're fapping and doing all that good stuff. So these tanks, you want to make sure that you don't tank them near that other 3-pack. Now we have the slimes coming, and they just pick random people. So everyone wants to be on the left. Now at the top right there, you saw that Grobbulus is up there. Once he arrives at the top there, after 45 seconds, he's going to drop those slimes again. And so I didn't see exactly when he was. Sometimes I'll do a pull timer so I know when it's going to drop, but we're just saying, okay, watch these guys, don't get near those. If you go near those little ones, they'll blow you up. And then here's these slimes coming, so we're going to kill them, easy peasy. The timing was fine there. And then we go through, we jump the river. You can make that jump. So what's going to happen here is actually the tank on X, watch, he's going to get a bop. So first there was a wretch happen there. That does happen. Another wretch. Again, these are golems, so these can cleave, right? The golems cleave. So we're going to stack them 2 and 2. Healers, you don't want to be near these. They cleave. They do a big cleave, can hit like 10 people. But we do have one healer that dies because they're standing too close. So just tanks, keep it away from the healers. But healers, if you're standing too close, you're standing too close. That's your fault. We're going to do a couple other pulls here. We can get some patrols. So he's going to grab that patrol. What is this? A Retcher. Yeah. So he's going to pull that Retcher. And then we're going to move on to the other packs. So the Retcher's coming. And tanks want to taunt it. I'm actually having a lag spike here, so the off tank grabs it, which is good. He does that frontal. The frontal's not too bad. It's that Wretch. It's a really nasty Wretch. Just note that every mob in Naxx, the second they're pulled, time starts ticking for their cooldown. And so because he pulled it from far away, the Wretch happened fast. We get across that slime with a slow fall mug. If you watch my videos, you have that. I showed you how to get that on the 4th of July or whatever. Anyways, we do a lip shout here. You don't have to lip, but you do have to be mindful of the fear. So it's good for a tank to go Berserker stance, Zerker Rage, Defensive stance, Blood Rage, run in and shout. That way they don't get feared if they don't have a Death Wish or they're fear prot, right? They can't stance, that kind of stuff. So yeah, you just shout. You can lip, but you don't have to. The main thing is the Living Monstrosity. It does a fear and it drops a totem. So when that totem drops, you got to blow it up. It does so much nasty chain lightning. And the fear has to be Tremor Totem, Fear Ward, Cleanse, whatever. It'll pull Patchwerk if you get feared into it, and that's a wipe. You don't want that to happen. So you see with these packs, you got the pack of mobs, and then there's like a golem that, or some sort of, this is a belcher who goes around it, and you can pull it when it's at the apex. The slimes that plop out of those belchers, they can pull big. Those little slimes have a big aggro range. So if anything pulls weird in a weird way, it's because of that. So we pull Patchwerk, and I'm going to show you shortly what happens when Patchwerk gets pulled wrong. But basically we pull Patchwerk and the tanks are stacked together. You have a hateful tank and the main tank. The main tank right now is Vitriol. You can even dual wield when you're tanking Patchwerk. I'm a hateful tank, and you don't need to use shield block because hateful cannot be blocked. It cannot be blocked. Just dodge, parry. So you do want to wear a good amount of dodge and parry so you can dodge and parry those attacks. But when you get hit, not parried or dodged or whatever, but when you get hit by hateful, it generates like 2,000 threat for you. So sometimes if you dodge too much, you won't generate much threat. Hateful attack hits the tank number 2, 3, and 4 on threat. Usually that's the DPS warrior is number 4 on threat. As long as they're low health by dipping in the slime, that's why all the DPS are low health. They stand in the slime, but not permanently because it'll reduce their stats. But yeah, they basically dip low health. And by the way, don't stand in the slime AFK waiting for Patchwerk with buffs out. You can actually die in the slime. It does a little dot, little tick, and you will die in the slime. So I've seen that happen. Anyways, it's just all about healers healing their tank, their assigned tank, and no one else. Tanks, tanky gear, and you're just at the mercy of the healers. You just hit your buttons, keep Demo Shout and Stone Shield up, at like 5% or something, 10%, he enrages. That's a good time to pop Last Stand, Life-Giving Gem as the Hateful Tank, and even a Shield Wall. Yeah, that's Patchwerk. It's a big test of the tanks having the proper gear, and as long as the tanks stack, they have to stack. If the tank who pulls Patchwerk doesn't go back into the tank stack, they will die. They'll instantly die. So you pull Patchwerk, and you do so by throwing a dynamite, shooting with a bow, and the most important thing, because I'm going to show you a Patchwerk wipe here, hands off the keyboard. You let it develop. So watch how fast you can wipe on Patchwerk. This is slowed down. So the Feral Druid, he's going to Fairy Fire, and the tanks are stacked. And then look, a Warrior Blood Rages, and he pulls the threat away. He should lip, and I should Battle Shout here, but I'm freaking out. Anyways, the Cardinal Rule is broken, and the tanks have to stack. And look, the Feral Druid, he charges ahead. That's not stacked. He charges into the poison and instantly dies. And look, now there's a tank behind me. He's afraid. He wasn't stacked either. And then finally he gets in. So tanks are just freaking out. I should have Battle Shouted to regain the threat. But that Feral Druid, he charged away. And even if a couple DPS warriors died, so be it. We would have stacked together and walked over there together and got threat. This is a wipe. I'm telling everyone to Hearth. I'm telling people to Petri. I'm livid. I'm reaming his butthole. I'm just yelling at this guy. I was so pissed off, man. So it's just incredibly important for tanks to make sure that the DPS in the raid know, like, hands off the keyboard. You respect this boss. You have to respect this boss, or else this is what's going to happen. You can Battle Shout to get threat. Definitely a worthwhile thing to remember. I was just, it happened so fast. Even I messed up. I could have maybe saved it with a Battle Shout, but I Petri out, and a couple people saved their buffs. But man, that was a real piss off. After Patchwerk, then we have these other golem type mobs. What they do is also knock people in the air, which can be lethal here because these ceilings are very tall, so there's lethal fall damage. So we're going to fight them underneath these archways and such. They can be stunned and interrupted. They do poison bolt volleys, which are very worthwhile to interrupt with a stun or a kick. So make sure your DPS are doing that. So again, we'll grab the next pack, and so these two packs, they're pretty easy. It's the 3-pack that, while you can run into it, right? Usually we have a hunter pull it, but if your group ever is going to run into it, there is a arch, like a balcony that you fight them under, but the square mob has to get pulled under. He's not under anything. Make sure the hunter pulls it to you, and let the tanks be the first one to hit it. So there's some little maggots throughout this raid. Not every boss, but many bosses you can rage up on maggots. So here we have Grobbulus coming down. Freaking cat hairs, man. This boss, I hit him. Well, I missed him with an arrow, but anyways, we're pulling him in here. If a DPS was to pull threat at the wrong time, this would be a wipe, because of course this boss, first of all, this guy's running in the wrong direction. Then we yell at him and he's like, oh, I thought you said something else. So anyways, make sure the DPS know where to drop off their slime clouds, and you yourself as the tank need to keep kiting this boss such that the melee are not in the slime clouds, right? And so we have a timer, cloud just spawned, and then now I'm moving it. Now, the reason that you wouldn't want a DPS to ever pull threat on this fight is when he does his slime spray, he's going to summon an ad for every mob that hits, right? Or every target he hits. So he should only spray the main tank and summon one ad. The spray is open. You see that weak aura shining. It says the spray is open. And so if DPS are in his hitbox, you might summon multiple adds as well. So just make sure that the DPS are not in the hitbox, and just keep kiting it properly. And as everyone else does their job, this fight's pretty easy. But you can wipe like that. We're going to jump onto the pipe. This is how I like to jump onto the pipe. We have Gluth next. I'm going to show you 2 point of view of this fight. There's the main tanking, and then there's the kiting that a pally or druid does. But he can hit kind of hard, and he of course puts a stacking mortal strike on you, 10%, just like Fankris. You're just going to zerg this guy down to avoid his mechanic. We don't want the zombie chows to be eaten by him, or else he'll heal. But again, that's what the kiting is for. You could pop Death Wish here if needed. But yeah, we just got to zerg him down. Jump here into Gluth. I get a full rage bar and get Demo shut up for the main tank here. And I have a mark on my head, and so does the paladin, who's going to be kiting. He uses Greater Blessing of Kings to kite. And I'm just following him around, acting kind of like a buffer, right? I don't let them get near him. I don't want them to daze him, anything like that. Worst case scenario, I could do a lip show. I've never needed to do that. He hodges there. And if we zerg this fight down, we only have to kite it for 30 seconds. So it's not too bad. But he just runs in circles, and yeah. So now we're on to Stalagg and Feugen, the mini bosses of Thaddius. See how there's a lightning bolt? If you pull the boss far away, or for some reason the boss, like, I've seen it happen once where the boss you lose thread, and it ends up running away to the other side of the room or something. You don't want that to happen. And everyone will basically die. Anyways, the boss, they do a knockback, so make sure you're not on the edge. They hit really hard. You need 2 tanks in the top 2 threat, because they're going to be throwing the tanks around, and when the tanks are in the air, they're going to hit somebody. So make sure you have a stone shield on, and yeah. So you're going to have to make the jump here. They, of course, have to die at the same time. Make that jump. You can Noggin Fogger. You can have movement speed on your boots, or swiftness Zanza. So I stand here, everyone else stands on the other side. I'm on the negative side, they're going to be on the positive side. So when the polarity goes out, basically, if they get negative, they run through. And just note, as a tank, you want to be max melee range. I've gotten killed by the other people's polarity before because I wasn't max melee range. So always be max melee range. And I'm going to show you a different clip shortly, because tanks need to do a taunt rotation here, right? Similar to on Ragnaros, sometimes you do mocking, or Huhuron, mocking, AoE shout. So on a new clip here, it'll pop up in a second. Right now, the other guy is tanking, but you can see we're tracking the mage's ignite. I've learned to enjoy tracking the ignite as a tank. I see the threat is ramping up. In my bottom right, you see the taunts are happening. And then I taunt. You can see that right there near the rage bar. I do an AoE shout. I'm calling out, okay, I'm going to do a mocking blow or something here. But it parried, but then Laverne taunts, then someone else taunts, and then it looks like the ignite dropped though. You see, now Firebob has the ignite, not Cheeky. All right, let's go over the adds here in Military Wing. Very dangerous. This is the Necro Knight, Flame Strike, Arcane Explosion. They are a prio target. If you're fighting them, they do big AoE damage. Then we have the Death Knight. He puts a curse that's 100% healing reduction, and will also raise 2 little Death Knight dudes that drop threat from dead enemies or friendly dudes. And they do AoE fear. I like to kill them. This is a Death Knight captain. They do a stationary whirlwind, kind of like the Scarlet Monastery dude Herod. Some people like to kill him first. I like to kill the Death Knights first, because the Death Knights do the fear. And you're going to see here, the fear can cause a lot of problems. We have the Necronite coming in. We're going to blow it up. We have the Shade of Naxxramas that we've seen from other wings. It has Shadowbolt Volley. Someone got a little close. That bear got a little close to another side pack, right? You have the one Shade and two Necronites that pat back and forth. Then on the wings, you have a Death Knight and two little dudes. They just drop threat, nothing big deal. But that Death Knight who got pulled, and now another one coming on from the other side got pulled. A lot of fears. So now we have two captains which are being spread out and disarmed, and the Death Knight. So we're getting a lot of little dudes summoned, because remember, the Death Knights summon little dudes usually when they walk over the corpse of a friendly raider or of a dead bad guy. They will summon dudes out of their corpses. Yeah. Now we're moving on to more trash packs. It's all the same. Sometimes you have one of each. You have a Death Knight, you have a captain, then you have these little dudes. You got that 2 Death Knight captain patrol. We're going to have smiths. Anyways, you got to watch for the spin. Tanks call it out, DPS call it out. I like to blow up that Death Knight. We killed it before it feared. Now we have the smiths I was talking about. They do Thunderclap, AoE. We have so we're going to pull some smiths in. Then we have a Shade that kind of patrols around, and we're going to get the captain's Skull and X there. I think the Shade's going to pull with it. You can always target dummy on the far side of the Shade and sometimes get it to face away before it does a Shadowbolt Volley. I got stuck in the spin. Whoopsies. Happens. This is a good pack to Death Wish here, this 4-pack. Sapper it down. And then again, you got to... I like to kill the fear mobs. Kill the fear mobs, because here we have people getting feared. And they get feared into more trash. Anyways, carefully move through that without getting feared into too many guys. Then this is an area where we instruct mages to put on their frost armor and take off your Lionheart helm. We have some horsey dudes here. Basically, these aren't too bad, but they put a stacking dot on the whole raid. So you got to kill them quick, but the dot doesn't last too long afterwards. And they do death coil as well. So you could get death coiled, like this druid is getting death coiled, into a different mob or pack of mobs. Then as we're in the stables here, these guys, you got to keep them taunted and hopefully tell your raid to spread out, because they charge through and do damage to whoever they charge through. Target dummies can help keep them stationary as well. So yeah, we just got to keep them taunted and be at full health when you go into one of these packs. Now we have Razuvious. So the tanks here don't tank the boss. You tank the ads and the priest. You see the priest there on the wall. They're out of line of sight of the boss, and you're just going to hold the mobs that they're going to mind control close to them, because if they are far away, they can't mind control them. So you got to keep them close and within line of sight to cast on, and then they can take it around the corner. If you have nothing to tank, you can just hit the boss, and should a mind control drop, sometimes it drops, you can lip shout the boss, you can target dummy, and that's actually going to happen here. So you as a tank, you got to be ready to save the fight. And there. So I'm going to do a lip shout, and I think we're going to get a lot of target dummies here. If you drop a target dummy, drop the target dummy where the boss should go, right? And then they re-mind control and stabilize the fight. Put your buffs away on this fight usually. Now, more nasty mobs. So put your Lionheart helms away. Separate these axes. They do whirlwinds and sweeping strikes. And kill whatever comes close and keep the other one far away. We're going to move towards hugging the left wall. You see how there's some packs in the middle? You got to stay on the wall. And sometimes you're going to want to pull the axe out of the group, but don't pull it to the middle of the room. You'll pull more mobs. So stay, unless you want to kill it all, which you can, stay on the wall. Stay on the wall. That way you're not going to pull stuff. Anyways, you keep on doing the ads. The staff does spells, arcane explosion, frost nova, that kind of stuff. The axe does a whirlwind, similar to the mobs in AQ40, the slayers. And then the swords, they do a cleave. So just face them away. As always, you typically want to face a mob away from the raid. After this, there's more of the same mobs you've seen. And so we're going to get into Gothik here shortly. I'll show both points of view of Gothik because there's left and right sides. So we are on the live side. You see those platforms there? That's where the mobs spawn. It feels like a Diablo 2 Bale Wave. You just sit there and then something spawns and you kill it. So we have the tanks over there, and we have roughly 20 people per side, although you could do like 19 and 21 people, depending on the DPS needs. So first, you just have little dudes coming out, these little trainees. Sorry. Long day. Little trainees coming out, and they don't hit hard at all. They're little dudes. Eventually, you're going to get like these Death Knight dudes that are going to come out. But right now, it's still these little trainee dudes. So the waves kind of get periodically more difficult. Progressively. That's the word we're looking for. Progressively. This is unscripted, folks. Live side can feel very boring, but sometimes near the end it can be crazy. Again, just another little trainee. But remember, these mobs go to the dead side, and pretty soon, so there's the Unrelenting Death Knight. They'll intercept random people who are farish away. That's why we have a Voidwalker there, which it's not meant to be. It was actually on aggressive, or I don't know. But we have Voidwalkers positioned similar to how we do in AQ20, because what they will do is bait the charge, or like a Paladin, because they have a shield. But eventually we might shackle these mobs. So let's see, what wave are we on here? Oh, so sometimes things go loose, and you could AoE shout them if they go loose. You could target dummy should they go loose. Right, so we're getting towards some slightly more difficult waves here. So here we are on wave 16. So I basically taunted that guy, but I didn't attack. And then I'm of course instructing mages, like, don't shoot this. Don't put a freaking fireball dot on there. And then we have another one coming out, and we're gonna shackle this with the other priest because the dead side is getting overwhelmed. Remember, there's two sides to this fight. And so there's a Hodge, a Frost Nova. It's gonna get shackled. So here's the other point of view. I'm just tanking. So there's 3 piles. Well, there's 5 piles, but 3 piles we tank on. The 2 to the right of me, and then this far pile. The person on this far pile, they tank the ads on this pile, and also the other ads, right? So when this mob just died on the live side, and it got, you see the beam, it's going to tell you what pile it's going to spawn on, kind of telegraphs. And I should have stone shielded here. I'm going to die pretty shortly. Sometimes things are so easy when you're tanking this, and then boom, you just take so much damage so fast. It's kind of crazy. So you do have to be careful about overextending. But here's 2 dudes. The riders have a life drain. They need to get kicked. I life-giving gem, and I still... So many things spawned so fast. Sometimes the live side sends a lot of things over very fast, and they all spawn in the same spot on your spot. This boss, he's a pushover. Sometimes he can shadow bolt the tanks pretty hard, but he's tauntable. So if you're off tank, or you can taunt off as an off tank if your dude gets low. Moving on, we have a shade here. You just face it away. It's got the shadow bolts, yada, yada, yada. What you got to be aware of is that you see those acolytes? You don't want to fight the ghouls too far out or edge, because you can pull the acolytes, and you don't want the acolytes and the ghouls. So basically, here you, again, you know the ghouls, we've talked about it, stun, disarm, yada, yada, yada. In this wing, we don't have spider patrol, we have horse patrol. And so what we're going to do is launch fireballs at the skull so that it's low on health before it arrives. And we got to blast these because, again, these are Necronites, right? We know that Necronites, they hit hard. We're going to keep on going. We have more gargoyles that they heal when they're low health. They put a dot on us, all that kind of stuff, right? So move through here safely. It's very easy to wipe around this very, very spot. You're not going to, I wouldn't recommend trying to skip any ghouls. You're just going to take out the ghouls. You're going to take out the shade and watch for those darn horse patrols. Before we even show any footage of the Four Horsemen, let's just talk about what they do. So in the bottom left here, we have Thane, and they basically have a meteor, right? AQ40 meteor. It's going to target one person and do splash damage. So that's why you want to have all the melee stacked and all of the range stacked. And this is going to do like 12 or 13,000 damage. So if it picks off one person who's not stacked, they're done. Blamu, in the top left corner there, they have void zones. And so this is what they look like. On the top right, the white dude, we have Zelik, and he's going to do a Cthulhu-like beam periodically every like 15 seconds or so. And then Mograine is going to basically have a proc, just a chance on hit to do extra fire damage. So again, Thane, 2 groups are stacked. Blamo, just watch your feet. Zelik, you can only have like a couple melee in at a time. So the tank and like 2 melee, and then the casters, they got to be max range. You got to be like, you can't scorch, stuff like that, right? Those shorter range casts, you can't do. Mograine hits hard. Most of the other, they don't hit that hard. In addition to their unique abilities, they all do a unique mark. The mark is just going to do more damage every time it stacks. So their unique abilities and their marks, the first meteors and marks and all that stuff, void zones, it doesn't go out right away. It takes about 20 seconds before they're going to do their first thing to let people get in position. But after about 20 seconds, we get mark number 1. It's like a 70 some odd yard range. You can't line of sight it. You can see we just have this little safe spot in the middle of the room. And so it's important that the tanks have their boss such that the safe spot is as big as possible and doesn't get compromised. Because you don't want your boss to go loose and refresh someone's mark, right? They might have 4 marks, and then you give them a 5th mark or something. So anyways, the first mark, nothing. The second mark, inconsequential. The third mark even, 1,000 damage, no biggie. Fourth mark, 3,000 damage. You can even take a 4th mark. If you're going to take a 5th mark, you need, as a DPS or a healer, you need to pop a GSPP. But usually we try to not take more than 3 marks because we don't want to be in a bad situation where we have too many marks. But you can sometimes take a 4th mark, and tanks can pop cooldowns as needed if something gets scuffed, and they could take a 6th or even 7th mark, shield wall and pre-shield and all that kind of stuff. Now, what we're going to do, let me show you a different picture here. So this is what an assignment sheet might look like. Okay, so basically what we have here is like, say, me on Thane, and I'm gonna pull Thane into the corner. Then we have this guy here, Ibogaine. They were assigned to start on Mograine, so they would pull Mograine here. And then we have Andrath, who would pull it to here for Zealot, and then Sheik would pull to here for Blamieux. Then we have these relief tanks, Carp Diem, Sergeant, and some other tanks, including myself, being relief tanks. So let's just talk about the front. Tanking, you never go front or back. For example, I'm a front tank. I should only stay tanking the front. The tank on Thane is a little bit special, where they could float around a little bit. Once one boss dies, the fight gets so much more easy, and that's why we're going to do the burn strat, where we kill Thane, we never come back to him, we just kill him. Anyways, I'm going to be tanking Thane until he dies, and then at around 2 marks, Long Live, they would be just DPSing Thane. At around 2 marks, I'll show you footage of all this, how it happens. They would run over and relieve Ibogaine, and then Ibogaine would just stand in the safe spot. Or if he wanted to, he could go and DPS Blamieux for a little bit, then come back and be ready to potentially have to tank Mograine again once his marks are gone, right? That's what the safe spot is for, to get rid of your marks as a tank, as everyone, healer, etc. So then I would be in the safe spot. Long Live would have relieved Mograine. Ibogaine's in the safe spot. I'm in the safe spot waiting for Long Live to get 3 or 4 stacks. And then I would go in and taunt, and Long Live would go in the safe spot. And then when Ibogaine is free of marks, they would go in and they would relieve Long Live. If you take 4 marks on Mograine, 3 tanks can do it. If you're doing it exactly at 3, you might need a 4th tank. So just keep that in mind. But if you do 4 marks, you can do 3 tanks. Now let's talk about the back tanks. You have 4 tanks at the back. Here we have Sheik, Carp, Andrath, and Sarge. And so, like I said at the beginning, Sheik and Andrath would take their boss to their respective corner. Carp Diem and Sargeant would just be DPSing Thane for about 2 marks. And then once that second mark goes out, Carp Diem would run either to the safe spot and just make sure that the tank has the 3rd mark. And when that 3rd marks go out, they would go in, or they could just run straight there, depending on the timing. Same thing with Sergeant. He would run to the safe spot at about 2 marks, and then he'd be like, okay, Andrath just got the 3rd mark. I'm going to run in. Now, it's very important when you run into Zealot that you hug this wall. Because remember, he has the beam. And if you have the range standing here, if a tank runs through the range, now you're going to connect the circuit. You have the boss, you have the range, zap, everyone dies, right? Cthulhu beam. You have to have your social distancing. So the tanks or DPS entering and leaving go along the wall, okay? So there's going to be a letter V pattern, a V like this, a letter V for these tanks. And I'll show you how I do it. I'll show you a lot of different footage so you completely understand how to tank this boss. Because if you tank this wrong, it's a wipe. So let's just say Sheik and Andrath have been relieved by Sarge and Carp, like I said. Sheik and Andrath, they're both going to run at the same time to the safe spot. And they're just going to stand there. And they're going to watch the new guy. So Sheik runs from Blamieux to the safe spot, targets Sergeant, who's tanking Zealot. And when Sergeant has 3 marks, Sheik goes into here, and then Sergeant runs back. At that same time, simultaneously, Andrath is here targeting Carp. Oh, Carp has 3 marks. So then Andrath and Sheik, they go their separate ways whoosh, whoosh, at the same time. And then Carp Diem and Sarge, they get relieved, and they go in here at the same time. I only have one mouse, so I can only show you, one at a time. But basically, you have 2 people go out, 2 people come back in, right? It's just like this, boom, 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 boom. Well, it's not back and forth. It's like do, 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 do. This is the dance. This is the Four Horsemen dance. Whoosh. Every 3 marks, boom, 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 boom. This is why you never want to use an AoE shout. Remember, that's just a fixate. It's not a taunt. It doesn't affect threat. So currently, we see that Worries is tanking Mograine. His stacks are starting to get high. You can see the Druid right there running into taunt, as they should. That's good, but they're going to get a resist. So I have Mograine targeted. And you can see right here, I have a taunt tracker. Maybe these other tanks don't. But you can see Andrath resisted their taunt. And I'm telling him, don't AoE shout. Don't AoE shout. He uses an AoE shout. And I'm like, you can't do that, man. You see Worries. Worries is leaving. He still has the most threat. But he's leaving. He thinks the taunt happened. It's not hitting him anymore. And I'm like, Worries, run back, run back. And I'm like, don't shout. I'm like yelling at these people. So I taunt and help bring it back in. He finally gets a successful taunt. Mage pulls aggro. It's going all over the place. Never, ever, ever use a fixate. When a horseman dies, their ghost remains and will continue doing marks. Therefore, make sure they are killed in a corner. So now that we've talked a lot about Four Horsemen, let's actually watch it happen. So right now, I'm going to be tanking Thane. And so we're pulling him into the front left corner. And you can see where the other horsemen are getting dragged to. And so you're just dragging and you're pressing your buttons. We're going to see a meteor fall soon, but the melee are stacked, so that's fine. And the boss is shield walled now, so you're going to see that their damage or the health starts going down much slower because they have shield wall. That last 20 seconds, my face is covering all their debuffs and stuff, but in a couple seconds, the shield wall will be gone and their health will just drop very fast. It shield walls at 50 and 20%, but it doesn't do a second shield wall if you kill it very quickly after the first. So that was just 3 marks. So we're doing the burn strat. Now I'm going to go to the safe spot here, and I took a 4th mark from the ghost. That's totally fine. And I'm targeting the tank who's tanking Mograine because it's my job to relieve them. And I'm just watching their debuffs the amount of marks they have. And just looking around because I'm the raid leader. But I'm just sitting on my hands in the safe spot. And then it's time to go in. I'm telling them, hey, so-and-so, I'm coming in. I got your taunt on Mograine here. We're going to have a resist. Now, this tank is an experienced tank, and I tell them, I'm going to do an AoE shout. Don't go anywhere. So I know I previously said, never AoE shout on. But you can do it if the other tank is not bad and you properly communicate. I'll show you a couple times we use AoE shout properly on this fight. And I'm just going to be tanking this. Now, he hits hard, and I'm just holding threat off of healers, right? So you put a shield on. You don't have to do anything crazy. You can disarm these guys. You can demo shout them. So that's very important to do. And we're just waiting for my relief. This is a trust fight. I have to trust that someone's going to relieve me. Now I have 4 marks. And so my guy's a little bit late. He's a little bit late or whatever the case may be. But here he comes. I have 5 marks, but I didn't die. Now I'm going to leave. I even had to pop last stand there. And I'm going to take a 6th mark. I have 13,000 health. It's a lot of damage, but I can survive it. And now we see a new POV. So in this POV, I'm a back tank. I'm starting on Thane because I'm DPSing Thane. I'm going to be relieving a relief tank. So you won't see me, unfortunately, drag the boss, drag Blamo or Zealot into position. But it's kind of the same. You just you just drag them into their proper corner. I'll show you what the corners are, but you gotta figure out the dragon part, unfortunately. So I take a second mark, and now I'm gonna leave. Or actually, I'm staying for the third mark. I've decided I'm just gonna stay for the third mark. I could have potentially gone a little bit earlier. My off tank here is going to take a fourth mark, so I'm probably honestly a little bit late. You can take a fourth mark. A fourth mark isn't that bad. I do mess up a little bit here, and I still have salve on. My revenge macro takes it off. I just I don't know. I must have been talking to stream or something. But anyways, what we're going to do here is notice how I have this boss tanked. My back is to my healers. I'm closer to the healers than the boss. That way they don't accidentally... Oh, now here's the AoE shout because a mage had a huge ignite. And so I AoE shouted before it got too far, and then I reestablished thread. And this other guy had a resist. He did a mocking blow, so I'm not leaving. Just because it's hitting him doesn't mean I leave. And now he's facing the boss, in my opinion, the wrong way. But then he finally got the taunt, and now I leave. And then I'm gonna go to the safe spot. That V formation. And then I look at Respira. Okay, got to go in for Respira. And that's the fight. I think I've shown you every angle you need to see. We've tanked every boss. We've done the switching and all that stuff. So if you need more VODs, check. I've got so many live streams of tanking Naxx. You can watch all the VODs you want of any boss of Naxx even. But that boss is dead, and now there's only one boss left. And when it's just Zealot, the fight's over unless someone really messes up. So let's go take a look at Sapphiron. So with Sapphiron, I typically Diamond Flask set this fight. Now, the second you see the bones start moving, the boss will spawn in 21 seconds. You can see I have only 5 seconds left or so on the power infusion. I hit my power infusion macro stuff, or my Diamond Flask set. The priest, they PI'd me too early. I said, I will tell you when I want PI. And when I said those words, that's when they PI'd me. Anyways, I Sapper, Bloodthirst, and I'm going to lose threat for a split second because one of the off tanks from Four Horsemen didn't have salvation. That's a paladin problem. They forgot to bless them back with salve, and also just DPS. Take it easy. Take it easy on this fight, all right? Anyways, we're just going to dual wield for the first little bit. In your highest mitigation gear, this boss hits hard. And it's a very healing intensive fight. So once you have a decent threat lead, you're going to put a shield on. And you might even wear a shield the whole frickin' time. And just tell the melee, let me pick it up. At the air phase, everyone spreads out. And it's very important that you get to a block. Sometimes it's easy to become complacent in this phase. You're just standing there. You're not healing. You're just like, do. Count the blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4. When there's 4 blocks, you better start getting near one. And here I am bandaging. I get 1 bandage tick. Everyone should bandage. Everyone should bandage. So what I'm going to do here is stop talking and play the audio, the live audio. Got to be careful to not get tail whip melee.
Decurs.
Mana potion early casters. It's play to live. It's survive. It's decurse. It's rinse and repeat. There's blizzard melee. It's not on you yet, but you have to. It does so much damage.
One of the paladins can touch light on the boss for melee.
And we're close to tails, so careful.
Decurse.
One more on Golden Greek.
Moving melee, moving.
Yeah, moving close melee. Sunder.
Back on next.
IA's back up.
I got a second air phase.
Good job, guys. Keep us up, healers. Dig fucking deep. Another air phase. Decurse, decurse, decurse. Threat is good. Just keep us alive. You have to triage. That means you have to just keep everyone alive, even if they get a little bit low. Loose spread. This is the final air phase. Everything you got. Once you're in position, use a bandage. It'll heal you for 200 health. Frost protection potion.
Dwarf, you should shield wall coming out of this. So the
I will. We're gonna top the raid with shield wall. All right, get near a block. You should already be near it.
Make Eurus and Holy One again. Healers, he's gonna shield wall after this. Heal the raid. Heal the raid.
Focus the raid. Keep the raid alive.
Heal the raid, healers.
Shield walling now. Shield walling now. I'm not taking much damage. Keep everyone alive. No deaths. Watch for those blizzards, melee. Decurse, decurse, decurse.
Start healing.
Shield wall fading. Life-giving pop.
Pop a frost potion.
Wreck. Fucking pump this boss down. Kill this bitch. Life drain in 5.
Alright, still proud decurs.
Keep us alive. Blizzards are still active when this boss dies. Decurse. Everything's still active. Do not die. It's still active. Still active. Restrained essence. Slayers. Might of the Scourge. Good fucking job, guys. Good fucking job. Okay, so it's the last boss. Kel'Thuzad. Last boss of the game. Basically, first phase, it's pretty easy. In fact, the first phase has been nerfed. I think it used to be like 4 minutes or something, but it's been shortened by like 90 seconds or so. So it's much quicker. And how that is easier is because it starts out very slow, and then as time went on, the amount of mobs coming at you ramped up. And so you never get to that end where there's a lot more mobs coming fast. A group that would sort of struggle with Kel'Thuzad would sometimes have 3 of the ghost mobs still up. So anyways, phase 2 starts much more easily because phase 1 is much shorter. Phase 1's very easy. So as the tank, you're just looking for the big guy and you're going to taunt him. And then paladins will hodge. So there's the hodge. If it's horde, you just usually like intercept it. A rogue might build a combo point and then stun out of that with a kidney. There's not a lot of damage that gets taken. Definitely do not wear your Thunder Furies here, because if your Thunder Fury chains from the big guy to a skeleton that's behind it to the cubby, you'll pull a whole cubby. And it's possible to recover from a cubby pull, but what you have to do is, depending on what pulls with the cubby, make sure that no one goes near the little skeletons, right? If those skeletons touch someone, they will blow up and do damage to the raid. On the subject of pulling cubbies, I'm going to show you how a group of mine pulled a cubby at the very beginning due to someone being AFK. So do not enter the inner circle. Don't go near it until everyone's ready. Let the main tank, let the raid leader initiate. So I'm going to show you a wipe, a fail.
Let's move up. Everybody in the back, move up, move up. Move up, move up, move up. Lightfoot, move.
No, we're in.
Oh my
go,
god.
Cryblood and Lightfoot, move. Cryblood, move. Cryblood, move. Cryblood, move.
Jesus Christ. Oh no.
Summon him, get out of
here. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Holy fuck. Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh my fucking god. I don't know why it was. Hearth out! Hearth out!
AoE.
No,
AoE.
shut up.
Where's the fucking AoE we're dead?
Get AoE then.
Oh my fucking god. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
And I'm going to show you how I I managed to save it, but I was a little extra, so, you know, don't mind the yelling. Anyone have any question? This ready check says, I know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm not a retard. I guess we're going in.
Go in.
I guess we're going in.
starts on.
Carly.
Oh shit, Carly! Come on, Carly!
Run. Okay. Whoa.
Carly.
God fucking damn it, you stupid fuckers. All right, dynamite. Don't go near. Don't go. Go away. Back up. Back the fuck up. Dynamite. Flame strike. Tanks. Taunt. Stun. Hodge. Stay away. Casters. Fire blast. Stay away. Father Joseph. Okay. Smite. Fucking idiots. Fucking apes. And then I'm going to show you also how if a cubby pulls, do not target dummy. The target dummy will wipe the raid. Do not target dummy on skeletons. Right now we have a paladin doing Blessing of Kings, and what that does is you see here the paladin has a lot of threat on the mob, so we don't have to worry about the little skeletons hitting someone because the paladin has all the aggro. If a cubby pulls, just have to have the tanks pick up the mobs, and hopefully the DPS are smart enough to not just go crazy and let it develop. Alright, so Kel'Thuzad is going to become active in 10 seconds. The main tank stands in front of him, and if there's anything else alive, DPS and other people can go hit that. Although you don't want a rogue or someone on the boss as well if need be for the interrupt. So we have our rage saved up. We open up with a bloodthirst and we're just pulling back towards the middle. I took a frostbolt there. It didn't get interrupted. And so there we are basically in the middle. And it's very important for people to be on the tips of the dress. You'll see how we have people marked. Now, I got mind controlled very quickly off the bat. There's a lot of mechanics that this boss does, and when the mind control goes out, it will mind control the main tank. So your job as the off tank is to let the main tank pump that threat, and then you should probably save your bloodthirst cooldown. It's not about your parse, not about you doing damage as an off tank. When that, like, just spam heroic strike, and when that mind control is going to be coming available, right? It says Chains of Kel'Thuzad not available until another 20 seconds. So of course you get bloodthirst there, but when it's potential to happen, save your bloodthirst so when it goes out you can hit it with that bloodthirst and not have a mage ignite, pull thread or something, right? So it's very important to keep the boss stationary as much as you can. Now here we're getting frost blasted, and miraculously all the healers keep us alive. I get pretty low there. Some people were a little too close, not properly spread out. There's a mind control, and I think I'm going to get threat here. Yeah, it's back on me. I pop last stand just because the healers, they might not be able to react very fast, so I just give them that buffer. There's an ice blast going out. They have to get healed. I think my kiss just came available, so I'm pumping a really good threat. Now, ads are coming out soon, and usually so someone rocket helmed that one, but then it got shackled. If you're a hunter, you can have rocket helm on, and another rocket helm I think just went out. Anyways, you might as a tank need to help tank these. You can see it's the druid. He's left the boss and he's helping pick up an ad because it wasn't getting shackled properly. We have 2 shackles. He feral charges over there, and is this other one going to get shackled? Yes. So now there are 3 shackles, and the druid has these 2 ads. Paladins can fear them, but the boss is dead. So with world buffs, you can pump this boss pretty quickly. but it can be hectic. If you lose people to those ice blasts, it can be bad, man. So there you are, man. Now you know how to tank Naxx. Let me know if you have any questions. I think I covered everything. Actually, before we finish, I want to talk a little bit about movement with Kel'Thuzad, because we want to keep him central, right? And so here, the mind control goes out, but a mage has a huge ignite, and this can be a very dangerous part where the boss, you know, it's a wipe. So I'm chasing, and I get threat. The mage either got a bop or they lipped and blinked in, which is good for the mage. Now you can see the X group. They are stacked tight, but they're not in on the boss because they're smart and they're waiting, because that ice block blast went out. And if they were all gathered on the boss poorly, everyone would get blasted and died. So now Frost Blast is on cooldown, and it's safe for the melee to get back in position. But we can see the circle. They're like, where do I go? Where do I go? Now I get Shadow Fisher on me. And so a lot of times tanks, what they will do is they'll just keep backpedaling, which you can backpedal. But if you backpedal 1, 2, 3 times, you're going to be in a cubby, man. And that's really weird positioning. So sometimes what I like to do as a tank is maybe backpedal a little bit, but move to the left or the right, whatever your preference is. Keep in mind, if you enter a boss's hitbox, you'll push it back. And if you move away from the hitbox, it'll chase you. So if you're moving left or right, you got to stay close to the hitbox. Remember, I made an entire guide on tank movement, so I hope that helps too. If you enjoyed the video, drop me a sub and a comment. Catch me live on my Twitch channel, Dwarflord TV, to connect with me or say hi to me in game on any of my characters. Dwarflord out.
And they say that the Dwarf Lord could save us. I'm not gonna pave here and wait. I'll hold on to the beard of the Dwarf Lord. Watch as we heroic leap away.